So in the previous lecture, we have gone through two methods, which is deadlock prevention and deadlock avoidance. Now let's go for another deadlock handling method, which is for deadlock detection and recovery. Okay. So for understanding deadlock detection and recovery, we understand the resource allocation graph. So what do you mean by resource allocation graph? Okay. Now resource allocation graph signifies that how many resources is allocated to the process and how many resources are requested by the process. That thing, if we represent in the diagram, that diagram is called resource allocation graph, right? So with the help of resource allocation graph, we try to find out a loop in the graph. And if we find the loop in the graph, there is a chance of the deadlock. There is a chance of the deadlock. That is a concept of deadlock detection. So for detecting the deadlock, we have to draw the resource allocation graph. It will tell us whether my system, current scenario, my system is in deadlock or not. Okay. So let's understand first resource allocation graph. Deadlock can be described more prescribed in terms of directed graph called system resource allocation graph. This graph consists of a set of vertices and set of edges. So there are vertices, there are edges. The set of vertices is partitioned into two different type node, which are P, which are the processes, and the set of all the active processes in the system. This is P1, P2, P3, or up to Pn. And there is R, which will be denoted as the set of R1, R2, and Rm. R is the number of resources. So your vertices may be a resource, your vertices may be a process. The set consists of all resource type in the system. Okay. So whatever resource type we have, it will be allocated. So in this particular graph, as you can see, this is one type of vertices which is allocating the resource. This is one type of vertices which is showing the process. So we have process P0, P1, P2, P3, and we have resource R1, R2, and R3. The dots tell you that how many instances of these resources are here. So for R1, 2 instances are there. For R2, maximum 3 instances are there. For R3, maximum 3 instances are there. Now let's go for the edges. Now edges, if the edge is going from resource to process, it means that instance of that resource is allocated. And if the edge is going from process to resource, it means that they have requested. So this is allocated, this is requested. Okay, that is the meaning of it. So this is the resource allocation graph. As you can see here, one instance of R1 is requesting, one instance of R1 is given to P1, but P1 is requiring another instance. One instance of R2 is given to P1. Now for P0, one instance of R1 is given and it is requesting one instance of R2 as well as it is requesting one instance of R3, and one instance of R3 is already given. Getting it? Now at the same time, if you see R2, so one instance is already given to P3 and one instance already given to P2 and P3. But P3 require two more instances of R1 and P2 required one instance of R3. So as you can see, this graph will tell you that which particular resource instance has been allocated and with how many instance is requested. Now if you see this is also showing the same thing. Here we have only, you assume that this particular diagram is the detailed diagram, and this particular diagram is also detailed one, but we have here we have only one resources. So R1 having one instance, let's assume that, and one instance is given to P2, and P1 is requesting for that particular resource. which is already given to P2. Now this will show us like R3 has given the resources to P5 but requested by P2. For R4, given the resources to process P3 and requested by P2, right? This is also a resource allocation graph. To simplify this particular resource allocation graph, we can draw the graph in this way. So how it has been drawn, as you can see, P2 is requesting for R3, but R3 is already given to P5. So ultimately, P2 is requesting P5 to release R3. So this is the way P2 is requesting P3. Now here, P2 is requesting R1, but R1 is already given to P2. So P2 will request, sorry, P1 will request P2. P1 will request P2. Now here you can see R5 is already, sorry, P3 is requesting R5, but R5 is already allocated to P4. So P3 is requesting P4. P3 is requesting P4, right? So this graph will be, this is the resource allocation graph. This graph will be converted into wait for graph. This is also a type of resource allocation graph, but here we doesn't have the resources, only the processes are the edges here. So this particular graph has a different name that is called wait for graph. This particular graph has the resource as well as the process, then that's why it is called resource allocation graph. So this resource allocation graph could be converted into wait for graph in this way. Now in this particular wait for graph, we'll go for the loop. Do we are having the loop? So as you can see here, this is going here, this is going here, this is going here. So we have a loop here. Here, do we have a loop? No. Here, no. So we have only one loop we got. It means that this particular sequence is suffering from deadlock. Okay, this is suffering from deadlock. Now, if I have detected the deadlock, I have to recover from the deadlock, right? So for recovering, we have different processes. One process is to kill the process or to preempt the process. So forcefully we'll preempt a process which are involved in the deadlock. So what are the processes that are involved in the deadlock? P1, P2 and P4 are the three processes which are involved in the deadlock. So we can kill or we can preempt any of the process to execute. So when we preempt P1, so what will happen is this particular edge and this particular edge will not be there, only this edge will be there. So there is no deadlock or there is no cycle. If there is no cycle, there will be no deadlock. This is the way how we can recover from the deadlock by forcefully preempting the process. This is also a resource allocation graph, right? Where we have different, more than one resources or more than one instance of the resources. If we'll convert this into the wait for graph, so what will happen? So P1 is requesting R1, but R1 is allocated to P2 and P3. P3 is waiting for R2 and R2 is allocated to P2. P3 is waiting for P1 as well as it is waiting for P4. Now, in this particular scenario, as you can see, here we have a cycle. Here we have a cycle, but this is not deadlock. Why? Because this wait for graph will work only for the resources with one instance. This wait for graph is not going to work where the resources has more than one instance. So if the resources has more than one instances, I can go for other method to find it out whether there is a deadlock or not. So cycle in resource allocation graph is necessary but not sufficient condition, right? So with the help of that, we have seen that being means manufacturing of a cycle in the wait for graph, it doesn't mean that there is a deadlock. So it says that this cycle in the resource allocation graph is necessary but not sufficient condition of detecting the deadlock. So for that, if every resource have only one instances in the allocation graph, then the detection of cycle is necessary and sufficient condition. So we have the resource with only one instances, then only we can say that if there is a cycle, there is a deadlock. So for deadlock detection and recovery, we have two approach: active approach and lazy approach. So we have through wait for graph, we can do the this is the active approach, and for the bankers, we have the lazy approach to detecting the deadlock. So in the bankers algorithm, if we are getting the safe state, there is no deadlock. If we are getting the unsafe state, there is a chance of getting into the deadlock for multiple instances of resources. If we have multiple instances of resources, we'll go for the bankers algorithm. If we have only single instance of resource, we'll go to the wait for graph, which I told you. Now, after getting or after detecting the deadlock, how we can recover from it? So for that, raise an alarm, tell user and administrator that there is a deadlock. So it will, this one method. Second is the preemption, take away the resource temporary, means preempt will make the preemption of the process. Rollback, checkpoint state and the rollback. So rollback is another process where we'll go for the previous state where my system were safe. Kill process, keep killing process until deadlock is broken, or keep all. This is another way. Means I can kill all the processor which are involved in the deadlock, or I can kill one by one and I'll see that I am in the deadlock or not, right? So these are the four ways how we can recover from the deadlock. So this is called deadlock detection and recovery process.